Hi guys, we are back for another video. Today I will be talking about how modeling found me again after the 7 year pause. And you guys know I always say this. If you have not watched the previous videos, please turn this one off and go to the previous one so that you can catch up because everything that I'm telling is just my story, my journey of modeling. And if you miss a part, you'll probably be like, how did we get here? And we don't want that. So turn this video off, go to the previous one, start with the introduction so you can get to know who I am and come all the way through and then land at this one so that you can catch up. All right. Sound like a plan? Cool beans. So, again, as I reiterate, today we will be talking about how modeling found me again after the 7 year pause. So, for those who watched your previous video, you know that there was a 7 year gap in my modeling journey. And that ended that began after I left John Casablanca, the modeling school. And so I went all the way through middle school and high school with no modeling whatsoever. I was able to discover other parts of me that I enjoyed, like cheerleading and things like that, as I mentioned, learning my style at that level because it has evolved so much, which I would hope it would, right? It would be crazy if it didn't. But I evolved a great deal. So, after high school, I graduated high school and I went to college. And the college of choice at the time was North Carolina A&T University. If you know, you know, Aggie Pride, right? I don't think I'm qualified to say that because I only went for a semester, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, it's still Aggie Pride. um, and so I went to school, and when I got into school and started to look for things that like activities, extracurricular activities that align with what I liked, I came across this modeling troupe called Verge. And for those of you that know, I'm talking about the uniformed, choreographed runway shows. That's what I'm talking about. And we would practice for hours. I mean, walking and doing that spin. I don't even know the proper term for it, but that's where modeling kind of got me again. Again, I was only at A&T for a semester. Just certain things just did not align at for me and the school at the time, and so Verge is what reintroduced me back to modeling, and especially the runway. Again, it's so interesting how my thread is the runway. And Verge was a runway group. Verge was again, it was very choreographed, very uniform, very meticulous, right? Like there could be, it's almost like I hate to say this, it's very militant style. How you would have fun, you would put your flair on it, but when it came down to the choreography of it, it was so militant like, and it was so clean. Like I think I only did one show, and that might have been Homecoming. Yeah, that might have been Homecoming that I did the one show, and then I was out of there. But that is what reintroduced me to modeling. And so once I left A&T, again, I was only there for a semester. I took a year off because I think it was a year because I ended up going to Clark Atlanta University. Yes, Clark Atlanta, Panther Pride, or whatever you say. For that school, I ended up going to Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia. And that is when I was really reintroduced back into modeling. And it wasn't instantaneously, like it wasn't instantly. It just took a little bit of time. And I don't know why or what caused me or how it came about. I think I might have been in the calf, and there might have been like some postings somewhere in the library where there was a posting, but there was an open casting call for Vibe magazine. Now I will tell you guys, I've always had a lot of hair. Okay, and side note, my hair, I don't know about y'all, but my hair is not surviving this summer with the heat and the rain. And I'm in North Carolina. The rain has been, oh my gosh, we need it, but oh my gosh, and the humidity, my hair has not stood a chance. We've been ponytailing it up, and when I want to feel fancy, I'll put it in like a little knot, like I have it here today, and I go about my business because we are not, But anyway, so I'm gonna backtrack a little bit regarding my hair because my hair was a major part of booking the Vibe magazine casting. So when I was in high school, I've always had really long hair. And I got to where I was like, I'm so tired of having long hair. Like I want to do something else. So I ended up cutting my hair. And at the time, Carrie Hilson was so hot. And I don't know if you guys remember her. And I forgot with the song she did with Kanye. And she had the blonde, like she had like a bowl cut and it was like blonde underneath it. I did that. And I actually went to A&T with that look. And so I had that look for a while. And then when I went to Atlanta, I ended up cutting my hair completely off, like on both sides, no hair. But I had and this is when I got the Khalees. I got the Khalees style, yes, because my hair would fall over, once I cut it off on both sides and it would just, I could comb it over. So that side was hidden, but this side was still revealed being shaved. And I had a mohawk and I dyed it half red, half black. Again, I am still learning how to edit. So I'm going to try to edit this video where I can put the picture in the video or in the community. We're still learning, okay? Thank you for your patience. But I had a half red, half black mohawk. So again, going back to the open casting call postings that I saw. And so it was me, I think it was me and a few other friends that ended up going to this casting call. And there was, I think it was Derek Blanks, and you guys know Derek Blanks. He is a phenomenal photographer. I mean, his work is just is everywhere. He's shot every celebrity. I mean, everybody that you can think of, Derek Blanks has put his lens on. And so he was a part of the casting team. He was a major part because he was a photographer for Vibe magazine that would be doing that editorial, which was a cover. And I didn't know that until I actually got to the casting, right? So, um, so I went and it was my turn. And of course, they wanted you to walk. So you had to do a walk and you had to, I remember they had us in this door. You had to walk to the middle and you had to walk to the table where they were sitting at. And it was three, if I can remember three of them. It was Dara Blanks. It was another lady who was a part of the Vibe magazine crew. And there was another guy. I don't know why I remember that so vividly. And Derek looked at me. He said, "Is that your hair?" And I said, "Yes, it's my hair." And he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go with you." I mean, on the spot. So my hair played a major part in getting me that casting. Of course, came along like the cheekbones and my jawline, and things like that. And I'm tall. So that was really, really exciting. And that was the introduction after, being reintroduced back into modeling at A&T through the Verge Modeling Troupe, which was runway, and then coming to Atlanta and going into a completely different field, and that was editorial because I never did anything editorial at that, up to that point. That was my very first editorial, and then a casting for a magazine cover. And back then, Vibe magazine, um, I mean, it was a major magazine. Like everybody had a Vibe magazine. You would see it somewhere. And so for that to have been like an introduction to me and for me to get the casting on site was just so exciting, you guys. It was so exciting. But I think one of the biggest things for me during that time was just seeing how when you think a dream has like I'm not even, well, yeah, I'm going to say that because yeah, when you think a dream has died, right, and you're put into a completely different environment and you give yourself to an opportunity, not knowing where it will land you, if it will land you anywhere, but because you just have that dream inside of you and you would rather risk um, not getting the opportunity than just not pursuing the opportunity at all, right? Then it just kind of covers a lot of bases because again, I had a 7 year gap from John Casablanca. No, there was no opportunities at all for me in between that. And then going into two completely different environments. And then there were opportunities that I could just pursue. And I love that, because there was a moment where I was like, oh, then I guess this is it for me. I guess that was all that was there for me for modeling. And it wasn't. And even though those two things reintroduced me back to modeling, that was also where modeling became very challenging for me. And I'm not going to get into that in this video because there is a whirlwind of events that takes place after I got booked for the open casting call. So let me go into the details of the open casting call. So again, you guys know that I went to the casting. I walked, I got to the front of the table. They loved me, they loved my hair. And that's what ended up getting me booked. And again, I'm going to try to post the photos into this video. I'm going to attempt it, okay? That is my promise. I'm going to attempt it. And so once the day came, because I think we did the actual shoot. And so what they did before the actual cover um, shoot for the magazine, they did a test shoot with all of the models that they selected at the casting call. So it was, I think it was six of us, 6 to 10, if I'm not mistaken. One of my close friends, she also got casted as well for this test shoot. So we had to go to Derek Blank's studio, and there were different photographers there at the test shoot that was shooting us. Like I had Derek White, there was another lady, I forget her name, but she was also a photographer that was allotted to me. And those were the ones that was shooting us. Derek didn't shoot us at the test shoot. He had other photographers that I guess was under his mentorship that was shooting us. And so, it really was an eye-opening thing because I was in hair and makeup. I had let me see, one, two, I had two different looks. I met an amazing stylist who I ended up working with a lot. Her name was Danielle. Um, and I met her on set of that test shoot. And again, I ended up working with her on a lot of different projects after that, even working beside her as a stylist. That's a whole other thing that kind of fired in my career pursuit, I guess you could say that. But so within this test shoot, they gave us different scenarios to shoot in. Like I had this black, and I absolutely love this dress. I wish they would have let me have it. I had this black dress, and it had gold beads all over it, and the back was open. If you know me, you know I love an open back dress with the covered front. There's just something so elegant and feminine about that style. I love it. I absolutely, if I could cut a hole in all of my clothes and just have an open back, I definitely would. And I'm so serious because I just love the way that it looks. It just gives off this feminine touch, but a touch of, I don't know, mystery. I don't know. It's just, to me, it's just stunning. And so that was like the elegant shoot for me. So I was in front of this backdrop, and they did a lot of headshots in this specific look. So I was up against this little, I don't know, it's like the 70s sequins curtain type of thing. And I had to do my shots there. And then another look I did, it was a greenish, aquish jumpsuit and had a belt on it. And I had like this gun ring and sunglasses. It was very edgy. And that was more of standing up, that was more of interactive. So I guess they was really trying to gauge how I could move. Now, granted, this was the very first shoot I had ever done. So I was a rookie. I was a rookie, but I gave it all I had. Okay. I gave it all I had. I didn't know like really facial posture yet or facial posing yet fully. But again, I worked my face. I knew that I had very strong features. So I gave them jawline, I gave them straight ons, but I don't think I'm a very straight on shot. I think I'm more of an angled shot. And this is just from observation. And so, like, I gave them everything I had. And again, I'll post some pictures so you guys can see. And then there's some that's behind the scene. There's one picture that I absolutely love because my hairstylist on set was, her name was Latasha Kellum. Met her, another lady that I ended up working with a lot after this test shoot, and it ended up working with her ended up putting me in Black Hair magazine. So it's so interesting how everything just connects, even when you don't understand, right? So so, okay, again, let me go back. Okay, again, in this picture, I'm like 6 feet tall, and she's like 5 feet, and I'm having to crouch down while she picks out my curls because again, I had a half red, half black mohawk, and so she's like picking out my curls. It was the best picture. I'm gonna post it again if I can. I'm gonna post it somewhere. We'll figure this out. That is my intention. But it was such a exciting thing when you are in an environment to do what you love. The adrenaline is out of this world and you want it to last all day. And honestly, we were on set for 14 hours that day, and it was the best 14 hours of, oh my gosh, in my life. I absolutely enjoy being in those environments because I'm doing what I love. I'm connecting with some amazing creative people. And it's not even like an intentional like networking thing. It was just me being me. I'm very personable. Like I can have conversations with anybody. I don't I don't meet strangers. I really don't, especially if we have the same energy, and you're open to, to just gauging with other people. And so that was just like, it was such an amazing experience. And again, my very first time. So once the test shoot was done, they had communicated with us that, if we were to book the cover, then they would schedule us for the actual shoot, which would be with Derek Blanks. And so they told us that it would be, I think, 24 to 48 hours after that. I believe so. I'm not clear on how long it was. Um, yeah, I think it was 24 to 48 hours. So the day that they told us that we would hear back, I was in my dorm on campus because again I was still at Clark Atlanta, and I hadn't heard anything. And I was like, okay, let me just maybe they're behind. Like maybe they're behind. So I ended up calling the director, and I knew her. She was also the one that was at the casting. I ended up calling her, and I didn't get her the first time. So I left a voicemail, and she ended up calling me back maybe like an hour or two later because I remember the sun was setting. Um, because how my dorm was, my bed was facing the window, and the window was like on my right hand side, and like the light was starting to get low. So she ended up calling me back, and I remember this conversation vividly because it broke my heart. Whew. Sorry, guys. Um, so she said, "Hi, Sydney." She said, and I said, "Hi. I know that you guys said that you would reach out to us, you know, and I haven't heard anything back. Are you able to give me any updates?" And she said, "Yeah, we're not gonna go forward with you because your skin required way too much retouch." And I said, "Okay." Now, mind you guys, at that time, that was my first experience that I had, with editorial. And that was a major one. I mean, to go from runway to being casted even for a test shoot for this magazine was a big deal. But the heartbreaking part was like, wow, that like I didn't get it because my skin needed a lot of retouching. And so I thanked her, and she was like, "I wish you the best." She's like, "You're such a beautiful person, and we really enjoyed working with you. We got nothing but great response about you and things like that." And she just kind of gave me that type of spiel, and I said it was an honor, to work with you, and thank you for the opportunity. And we got off the phone, and I sat with that, and I cried. I cried. So I um I struggled a lot with my skin, from I think like eighth grade going into, and of course, like hormones are changing and things like that. But mine was like just a little bit more intense, and and I knew that I was having these issues. I knew that I was breaking out. I knew about I knew about all of it. Um, and my mom and my dad, again, they've been so supportive of me. They've been so supportive of this journey up to this day. And they did everything. I mean, I feel like we spent over $100,000 in skincare alone, if not more, when it has come to me. And we've taken we have gone to doctors for tests and everything about this, and no one could really give me any answers. And so when she called me with that reason, it triggered me, and I didn't know at the time that it was a trigger. Because when you don't know how to, when you want to change something so bad because it's now affecting your dream, and you have no resolve for it, you just don't know what to do, right? You feel helpless, you feel hopeless, you feel all the things. You just like, here I am again, being hit with something else that is keeping me from my dream. Like, what is happening? And I had to, I had to deal with it. But I mean, I didn't know what to do. So I just accepted it, and I kind of just went on. And I remember a month later, one of my good friends, she did end up getting the cover. She looks stunning. I mean, looks stunning. I wish I still had it. And I was happy for her, but I was so heartbroken for me. And I kind of gave up a little bit then on modeling. If I'm being honest, it wasn't a pause. I think in my mind, I gave up, because if now it's about my skin, and I don't know what to do, and it feels out of my control, the only thing I know to do is just throw my hands up. Like, I felt defeated. And I know that was just one opportunity, right? But let's be honest, it's that one opportunity that really begins to shape your mind, that it's gonna that's how all other opportunities are gonna be like, right? And honestly, that's how I felt. I'm like, if they like looked at me and said, great, but not good enough, then I can only imagine what other doors could possibly say as well. And that was just a story that I started to tell myself at the time. Now, granted, I had other opportunities that came, but it was more so from, again, the people that I connected with, and they were pulling on me. They were encouraging me to to work, to to do the things. And I did them, but I don't think my confidence was at an all-time high in those areas like they were in this specific one, because I'm back at it. I got a lot to offer. I got, I got something to prove here, and it fell flat to the ground, which what it felt like at the time. But I just, it took a lot out of me. It really took a lot out of me, and I want to go deeper into what rejection feels like, because it is a normal part of this industry. I didn't know that, not at that time, because that's when, again, that was the introduction where I started to touch other areas of modeling aside from runway. I didn't know that, and I didn't pick runway back up until 2019, and um, I went to Atlanta in 2010. So that runway had a good gap, because between 2010 and 2019, there was a lot of editorials and campaigns ranging from hair. I did a lot of hair work. I did a lot of hair work, not as much fashion, but a lot of hair. Um, and I will kind of go deeper into that in the next video. But I want to stay with the rejection part, because rejection is such a big part of this industry. And it's not necessarily, and I can say this now, everyone has an ideal of what they're looking for. And that is very well okay. It is okay. It's just the challenge is when we want something so bad and we're rejected from it, the story we tell ourselves about that is really what begins to shape our reality. and it's not true. And so for me, at this point in my life, not then, as you guys know, not then, I did not know how to navigate that space at all. I kind of leaned into it as defeat. I'm just being so honest because I'd never been rejected before. Everything up until that point was just kind of a flow for me. And then this opportunity came and I'm just full out rejected. Like, no, what I heard, no, you're not good enough. Um, we're gonna pass, even though it was delivered with such care and professionalism, and I respected that. It really was. But at the time, I did not feel that way. But what I realize now is that when a rejection happens, it is because the team of whatever opportunity it is has an ideal already in their mind what they're looking for. And you may from first look be everything that they're looking for, right? And then you do a test shoot or you get onto whatever, and then you could be released from that job because they may have found something, or your skills aren't up to par as they should be as far as posing, if it's a campaign or whatever it is, right? You have the look, but there might be a lack of skill, or they may go in a different direction after sitting down again and saying, "Wait, let's revisit this." There's so many different things, and you got to be okay because what to me happens is when a rejection happens or a door closes, that means that there's another one that's going to open up that you are ready for, and that's just creating space. And it's a completely different and abundant way of seeing things because it really, to me, that's what happens because I've had a lot of doors close on me just for other doors to open up for me. And it doesn't always, and I have to sit up when I say this, it doesn't always look the way you think it's going to look. It doesn't, and it's not always what you want, but it's everything that you need. That door that opens cultivates skills, whether it's posing, whether it's professionalism, whether it's etiquette on set. Because again, I said this, I think, in my second video. Having model etiquette is so important, whether that's on set, whether that's communications prior to the opportunity happening. There are things that need to be cultivated. You will make some mistakes. Allow yourself that. Allow yourself room to make mistakes. Allow yourself room to not get it all. Allow yourself room to be coachable. Allow yourself room to be guided. Drop the ego because in order for you to learn, you have to take hard critique. Now, granted, there are some people who have not learned how to speak to people. I will say that some people have not learned how to speak to people yet in this industry, and that's just what it is. It's on you to say, okay, I get where they're coming from, even though I may not like their delivery. I know what they're saying, and you move on because you want to maintain your own, or you can say, hey, talk to your agent or whoever is representing you. Say, I don't like the way they delivered that. Completely unprofessional. I'm not really sure if I want to work with them again. And that's advantage as well because you can say that. Like, remember, being a model is a business. You are your business, and you get to also choose who you want to work with. They're not just the ones that's choosing. You get to choose as well. If you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel like you're respected, that's a boundary that could be crossed, and you're like, love this, but I just can't work with that energy. That's okay. But the rejection part of it, you have to redefine what you're telling yourself about that specific rejection, because if you look at it and call it defeat, then it'll probably make you bow out of something that you actually love. And that's not sorry, and that's not on anybody but you made that decision, right? And so you can say, okay, I didn't get that opportunity, but there's so many others. It doesn't matter how many models are in the industry. It doesn't matter about any of that. It really doesn't. When you think abundantly, and you know you're supposed to be there, and you know you're supposed to be doing that, there's so many doors that are still waiting for you to walk through. There's so many casting calls that are waiting for you to arrive because you are what they're looking for. There's so many agents that are looking and searching for their next girl, and they come across you in whatever way that is. Don't give up. And I am speaking from someone who did give up for a bit of time. I did, and we'll get into that later, but I did give up. And my thing was I retired. We'll talk about that later, y'all. But the first rejection for me, and I might have should have, you know, named this video that my first rejection. Um, it was traumatizing. It was traumatizing. Even though it was handled with care, it was traumatizing because I was not in a state yet to understand what was happening. I was not in a state yet to process, and I'm talking about mentally, to process what actually transpired. Um, my self esteem took a hit for sure, um, and it did some work on me. But I can look back now and I can be grateful for that time because I have a whole new perspective of what truly transpired. That just wasn't meant for me. And the door opening was just a way to show me like there's so much opportunity here. There's so much opportunity here. This may not be your door, but let me just, open it to see what all I can do, what all is there, and stay encouraged in that aspect. Yes, I want to book jobs. Yes, I have booked jobs. Yes, I have been in magazines. Yes, I have been on websites, homepage websites. Yes, I've been published. Yes, I have. I have done those things. But the first rejection is hard. And for those of you who are either starting out fresh, you haven't hit your rejection point yet, or you are in the thick of it and you've gotten many rejections and you're still not able to process it correctly, let this be a video that encourages you that rejection is going to happen. And it's not just in modeling either. You know how many people you apply for a job and you don't get the job, or you're dating, you like somebody but they don't like you back. I mean, it's just everywhere. But for me, it that makes space for what's supposed to be. And that's such a beautiful way to look at it. For those of you who are new, expect rejection. You are not going to get every job. You may go years or months without anybody looking at you. That is not an invitation for you to say, well, it must not be for me. No, this is where you put on your big girl pants, big boy pants, and you say, I'm not going to stop until I get where I know I'm supposed to be, especially if you have a vision. If a vision is in you and it's clear, and you know that you know that you know, do not stop. Keep going, keep applying, keep getting better, keep shooting. Work with photographers who align with the vision you have, the type of model that you want to be. Create your book. Do all the things that will ready you. So work out, eat well, take care of your body, take care of your skin. If there's something that you need to do, for me, I still have moments with my skin, and I'll talk about that in a different video on what's happening, right? But now, because I'm clear on what's going on, I don't let that stop me. And the reason why is because I've had so many jobs that have accommodated me. They worked with me. Why? Because I was what they wanted. I aligned with the vision, and the partnership was what was meant to happen. So don't be discouraged at all. Look at it differently. Feel what you need to feel, because it'll probably hit you in a place that you're like, oh, that might take your breath away. And the first one, but then you begin to get thick skin, and you need thick skin in this industry because it gets a little bit more. It's like the higher you go, the more intense it becomes. But don't let that scare you. Don't let that scare you. Walk in with an expectation like, hey, whatever comes my way, I'm built for this and I can handle it, period. Whether it's I got the job, or we're gonna pass on you, or you get it and then they release you, whatever the the outcome is, don't go in there focus on that. Go into whatever casting, whatever opportunity, whatever moment, giving it everything that you've got confidently. That is one thing I did. I had no experience in that industry, in that part of the industry, none. But I walked in there like I did. I shot like I did. I used what I knew that I had. I had a great bone structure. I worked it. My hair, great. I worked those areas. limbs wasn't quite responding to be tall and long. My limbs had not yet fully gotten acquainted to what I needed to do. So that was a little awkward. But even still, I gave it everything that I had, right? So that is my encouragement in this video. I might need to rename this video actually. I think that's what I'm gonna do. My first rejection as a model. I think that's what I'm gonna name it. Yep, that's what we're gonna talk about. So scratch what I said at the beginning of the video. I know we're at the end. We're gonna talk about my first rejection as a model, and how it came about. So yeah, I just stay encouraged, stay excited. You know, even in the times it's challenging, you're gonna have them. If you go on Instagram, even here on YouTube platform, TikTok, if you can look up models and if they're telling their story, all of them will talk about rejection. All of them will talk about how they went from being booked to not having long periods of work. Don't let again don't let that discourage you. That's just a part of the ebb and flow of this industry. Just know you will always be where you're supposed to be. Continue to, um, again, pursue it. You know, shooting, challenge yourself, you know, stretch yourself, see what other areas of the industry you may be good at. If you're just going for editorial, see if you do well in commercial. You know, just don't stretch yourself thin to where people don't take you seriously because you're all over the place, but do try to create a diversity within yourself so that people can see like, okay, I might not can do them, but they're good in commercial as well. But if you're just good in one area, then that just limits you to that area, right? Again, don't stretch yourself thin trying to do everything. Find your sweet spots. Find the spots that are so good for you. And I will talk about that in a different video as well. There's so much just coming up, you guys, just from my own personal story and the things that I've experienced. But the next video, I will continue to talk about my journey, my modeling journey in Atlanta, and all the doors that were open for me, and what they led to, and what the outcome was, and how I continued to develop myself, going through rejections and just navigating this industry alone. I was freelance. I did not have an agency. I did not have a manager, and my parents were not with me. I'm just a girl in Atlanta who has doors opening for her, um, in this city that was foreign to me, and I was in school for fashion marketing and design. And yeah, because just again, being a part of the fashion world was just a dream for me, still is a dream for me. And yeah, I cannot wait to continue to share. So come back next week so that we can go deeper into my journey in Atlanta as a model, a freelance model with no manager, no agency, just a girl on a journey. Okay. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Remember, we meet every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do not miss our dates. I look forward to our dates. Okay. Bring your friends, bring whoever, and then share the videos with those who you think it would actually help. Like, I am here to help. I am here to share my story in hopes that it encourages you, in hopes that it inspires you, in hopes that it gives you a different perspective on how you see the industry. Okay, that it reshapes the story that you may have told yourself or someone else may have told you about it. So I look forward to our date next week. Okay. And I'll see you guys soon. Take care.